tonight's meeting is being live streamed. The council was provided with comments from the public, and it was entered into the minutes for tonight's meeting agenda. And we have limited capacity due to COVID. City Hall Auditorium is open to the members of the public to view. We do have some participants today who are here for the meeting. I just want to tell everyone that it's been a privilege and honor to be president of the City Council and leading us last year in 2020 in an unprecedented year. And I appreciate everybody's patience and participation, cooperation, and leadership through last year. I want to go ahead and make a motion to nominate Selena Stoller as president and David George as vice president of the Fisher City Council. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Cecilia, second by Pete Peterson. Does anyone have any comments regarding the election of officers? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and call a vote on my motion nominating Selena Stoller for president of the City Council and David George as vice president of the City Council. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Selena Stoller, thank you for leading us this year in 2021.
And Cecilia, while you're getting situated, I just wanted to, on behalf of everybody here, this is my 19th year, and this last year was the toughest. Doing it remotely, you did it very well. I felt like even when we were remote, you did a good job by walking through so everybody knew when their comments could come in. Felt like everybody had the dialogue, so you did very good running the meetings in a very unprecedented, very tough year. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, David.
And Cecilia, I second that. I mean, it was just a very tough year, so you did a fantastic job. Okay, do we have any announcements? Brad, do you want to announce about the Gold Star?
That'll be at the end.
At the end, okay.
Thank you, Brad.
You're welcome. Seeing no presentations, we do have a Finance Committee report. John, do you want to provide a financial?
Sure, very brief Finance Committee last Wednesday. Just as one item on the agenda regarding moving some accounts around. The other, we spent time going over our investments, which by state statute are really mostly cash and CDs. We're very conservatively invested, protect the taxpayer assets, and we're in a good position going forward into 2021 financially as a city. So that's all I have to report today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda, there is one item, a request, R011921B, that will be moved to the end and be treated as an agenda item. So I'd like to move to, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda, except
Second.
for item D.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selena, real quick, just
Selena, would
since
you
Jennifer-
please state who makes the motion and who seconds the motion?
Okay. Motion made by Pete, second by John.
And
everyone approved.
Selena, for purposes of the record too, that was for items A through C on the consent agenda for Jennifer's clarification, correct?
Okay, yes, A through C. Moving on to item number 8 on our agenda, a request to approve R011921C, a request to approve declaratory resolution designating certain property as an economic revitalization area and authorizing abatement. Jordan? Can you please introduce this to us?
On that property? Oh, thanks. on that property. So if you remember, we brought an EDA with Memory Ventures to you guys last council. So this is tied into that. That stated that Memory Ventures would be purchasing and occupying that building, and in turn, the city agreed to a 10-year, 100% vacant building tax abatement. So again, this is the first step in establishing that. If approved today, we'll have a confirmatory resolution and public hearing next council. So any questions with that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
So a motion by Pete, second by John. It is open for discussion. Does any council members have any comments regarding this item? Seeing none, we'll close the discussion and call for a vote to approve. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to number 9, 111620, consideration of a rezone from R2 resolution. Hang on, I have to get my glasses. It's like,
It's
I can't
residential,
see.
Understandable.
We may not have.
I got a handy pair right here.
That's all right, I'm gonna have to make do here. You're just gonna see me holding it out. Okay, so 11162, consideration of a rezone from R2 residential and AG agricultural to I1 industrial for expansion of the U.S. foods distribution. This is the final reading. Megan, do you want to introduce this to us?
Yes, thank you. Megan Schaefer with the Planning and Zoning Department, and we've got our screen shared. Can you all see that there in the auditorium?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So as mentioned, this is for the rezone of the existing U.S. Foods Distribution Center to expand their property to the east. The proposed rezone is located east of Cumberland Road on the south side of 126th Street. So the proposed zoning, the rezone is for 4 parcels that's currently zoned R2 and agricultural, and the proposed rezone is for the I1 industrial district to allow for a distribution center, which is currently prohibited. So here we've got the site design. This will be required to go through our TAC process, and the site will need to meet today's UDO standards for the proposed industrial use. Any entrance or right-of-way improvements will be determined during the TAC review. We do have a few renderings here. These were shown to council during first reading back in December, but this does show the expansion looking west. A buffer will be required between the existing residential properties and the new facility. Got another view here zoomed in. They are leaving some room just in case they were to need an additional expansion in the future. And then the last rendering here is along I-69. This will look a little bit different when they come in with the civil plans, as the landscaping along I-69 will need to meet today's UDO requirements. So this is before you for final reading tonight. This was, Plan Commission sent a unanimous favorable recommendation during the public hearing. And staff does recommend that you approve the rezone tonight. Tim Oakes with Ice Miller is also on the line in case you guys have any questions.
I'll make a motion to approve item 9.
Motion made by Pete, second by Todd. This is open for discussion. Do any council members have any comments regarding this item?
I'll just make a couple quick comments on there, and I think Tim and the folks at U.S. Food Service did a terrific job in doing that. The residents that were there speaking about this, that had some issues going on, were really due to floodplain and water and where the water was going to go, et cetera, et cetera. I think staff did a very good job in explaining that was going to be dealt with through TAC. And I think every one of those residents who came in there were very satisfied with the fact that the city had people understanding those issues and that they were going to deal with them through that particular process. Other than that, no one really jumped up and down about the expansion of this particular property.
And I think this is the case, but the exterior rendering, it's an expansion, but it looks like one building because I think the existing building is going to have the new cladding. So I think it'll look like all one building that was always meant to be. Yeah, Megan has the rendering
correct.
up. So I think that's just
correct.
confirming. Yep.
Absolutely correct.
So I think from the interstate and the general public, I think it'll look good.
Yeah, I'll be supportive of this rezone. It just makes sense. Plus, I like having that building along 69, gives a little natural buffer there that we didn't have before.
Close the discussion. Vote to approve ordinance 111620. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to item 10. 011921, consideration of a rezone of 20.86 acres from PD to PUDR. Property is located at the southeast corner of East 126th Street and Brook School Road. Project is known as the Preserve at Gray Eagle PUD and will consist of approximately 155 residential garden-style units, master downtown homes, and double ranch-style homes. This is a first reading. I'll turn it over to Tony Bagato for an introduction.
Good evening. As this is the first reading for a rezone, a portion of the existing Gray Eagle PUD to a new PUD. So as first reading, this is the first step in the process for getting the rezone through the entitlement portion. Council is aware that this has been in discussions for several years now, and the area will include the remodel of the golf course here for the development, which will help fund some future improvements to the golf course and the driving range. Here's the site plan before you tonight. This has gone through some neighborhood meetings, and support from the Gray Eagle community has been received. Quite a bit of emails over the weekend, as I think one came through today as well. Everyone seeing this PowerPoint?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The rezone is for 149 units, and as pointed out in the description, 101 are garden style, 28 are master down paired homes, 20 paired ranch styles. The amenities in there will include Gray Eagle Golf Course access in the driving range, bocce ball courts, pickleball court, a club room area, fitness facility, and pedestrian connection. Here's some of the architectural renderings. This will go through our PUD committee. They've provided some other illustrative elevations that show it a little bit better than the 2D, and so you get a 3D rendering. And here's some of the other architectural features. Here's just a rendering from in the community. So with that, staff is available to answer any questions. This is first reading, and I will also allow Mr. Harden to introduce the project as well, and I can pull up their presentation.
Thank you, Tony, for pulling that up, and I'll just let you know when we're ready to change the slide, if you don't mind. Thank you so much for your help. Good evening, council members. This is Steve Harden representing the J.C. Hart team, and from J.C. Hart, we've got Todd May, Johnny Hart, and the local architect, Randy Sherman. Todd May, myself, and Randy Sherman, the architect, all are Gray Eagle residents, and so we're very happy to be part of this solution to the concern over the future of the golf course in our neighborhood. This is Tony, you can go to maybe the next slide. So this has been a resident-driven solution. A number of years ago, the golf course announced that it was going to shut down the golf course. The HOA board, and we have two of those members will be speaking at the very end of our presentation, Dave Brackenhoff and Ron Diamond. But the board was very proactive. Instead of complaining about the potential closing of the golf course, a resident-driven solution was sought. A small committee was put together from within the neighborhood to try to identify some potential redevelopment options along the driving range area, which would be able to then support the 4 goals that the HOA had stated was important. Number 1 was keep the golf course a golf course. Number 2 was to improve the course and maintain high level of standards for the golf course, provide a long-term solution, and then provide for what happens if it does become economically infeasible to continue to operate it into the future, to provide a solution that was acceptable to the HOA. And what the board said a couple of years ago at that time was that if they could figure out a way to bring a proposal forward that would meet those, then that the board would be supportive and would encourage the neighborhood residents to do so as well. And so that was where the efforts began a couple of years ago from within the neighborhood, within the board, trying to figure out, well, we recognize that the 40 acres of the driving range area was larger than was needed for a good quality golf course. So what would be an acceptable, good type of complementary use for the area? And eventually, through months and months and months of work, the project that's before you now is what came from all of those efforts. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. So what you're going to see here tonight is the discussion of a proposed age-targeted 55 and better multifamily development south of the clubhouse that will do several things, including fund upgrades to the clubhouse, fund improvements to the golf course, and protect the golf course long into the future. Okay. And I'm going to now introduce Todd May, Fishers resident, Gray Eagle resident, and Vice President of Development for J.C. Hart, who's going to talk a little bit more about J.C. Hart, their involvement in the community, other nearby projects, and the vision for this particular project. Todd?
Thank you, Steve, and good evening, council members. Appreciate your time tonight. I try to be concise with my words. Steve mentioned I live on the 16th hole, so I've got a great view of the course and want to keep it that way. So J.C. Hart got involved with this back in 2018 at the end of the town hall meeting with the Gray Eagle HOA board, and so we've been working very diligently since then. Just a little background on our company. We do have a fairly significant presence in Fishers. We are the owner of the District Saxony, Beachside at Saxony. Both of those are on the Lake Saxony at 131st and Olio. We also own the Hamilton next to Hamilton proper, which is at 116th and Hoosier Road. We do own the Flats at Switch just next door to City Hall. We did not develop that, but we own that. And then we built and manage Pullman Point for Skinnell Properties, the owner. So we're very proud of our involvement with the city and hope to continue that with Gray Eagle. As Steve mentioned, this is kind of like the economic engine. And when we got involved with it back in 2018 and met with the board, we knew this needed to be a win-win-win situation. This was just coming off the heels of the I-Town Church. It needed to be a win for the community. It needed to be something that was acceptable to them. It also needed to be a win for the golf course owners to meet their financial objectives, and then it needed to be a win for the city. And so that's a delicate balance to weigh all of those needs with 3 significant partners in this project. But most importantly, this project needs to be successful. It is the economic engine, but it needs to be a place that people want to call home. It needs to be a place that we can provide an enjoyable living experience. And what we decided on was that we felt there was an unmet housing need for the 55 and older demographic, the empty nester, the baby boomer that's downsizing in Fishers. And so we really focused on that age-targeted 55 and older renter by choice market that really wanted that ultimate in lifestyle, maintenance-free lifestyle. As mentioned, we do think there's an unmet need in Fishers. I found it very interesting in some research that Indianapolis, as a 2020, was ranked number 6 in the country for what they call baby chaser market, which is the a baby chaser would be described as an empty nester or a baby boomer that is looking to downsize and stay close to their children, therefore their grandchildren. And as we all know, Fishers is a great family community, particularly around Gray Eagle. There's just a tremendous amount of families, but there's not a lot of places targeted for that 55 and older demographic. We've known this for years. We've had people come in all of our properties and ask if we're 55 and older, and we're not. And so we felt very bullish on this. I thought it'd be interesting to read the markets that are in the top 10. Number 1 is Charlotte, 2, Austin, 3, Phoenix, Orlando, Raleigh, and then 6 is Indy, 7 is Jacksonville, 8 is San Antonio, 9 is Denver, and 10 is Atlanta. All but Denver are all southern Sunbelt warm climate regions. And so I think it's phenomenal to say that Indianapolis is ranked amongst those Sunbelt type of cities. So we're very bullish on this type of product, and in this location, the vision of it is to have like a golf village right here in the Midwest as opposed to a Sunbelt area. So we're very excited about this. This is going to be a very nice, top-notch community aimed at this demographic. And what I would like to do at this point is ask our architect and land planner, and as Steve mentioned, fellow Gray Eagle Fishers resident, Randy Sherman, to walk us through the site plan and the development.
Yes, thank you, Todd. Again, this is Randy Sherman. If we could have one more slide. Maybe one more. I'd like to get to the site plan, please. One more slide. There we go. Thank you. This is the development that we're speaking of tonight. To the north is 126th Street. To the west is Brook School Road, and to the east is the golf course, and to the south is Greystone neighborhood. The existing clubhouse is at the northeast corner of the site, at the corner of Brook School and 126th. That building will be redevelopment project with the funding provided by the residential community to the south. And the goal here was to create, as Todd mentioned, a golf-style resort-type community, age targeted to the 55 and older, with a mix of product that changes scale. So we're entering the Brook School side of the development with a 1.5-story attached master downtowns, building towards the middle of the site to a mix of 2- and 3-story central building, which would contain the clubhouse and residential flats with the amenities of the clubhouse and the outdoor pool and other amenities to the site at the center. And then as we go to the south and east, stepping back down the scale to ranch style attached doubles. Next slide, please. Could we have next slide, please? Thank you. This is a blow up of the multifamily portion of the site.
You want the colored site plan, correct, Randy?
Yeah, if we could go back to the colored site plan.
There you go, Tony.
Thank you. This is the multifamily portion. We would have 2 entrances into the development. The north is shared with the existing clubhouse for the driving range and golf course, and then a new entry to the south that would align with an entrance into the elementary school, Brook School Elementary, just to the left of our site on Brook School Road. There is an existing retention pond along Brook School that would remain in place and create the foreground to this new residential community. So we would enter the community, and as I mentioned, have the 1.5-story product to the Brook School Road frontage. and then enter to the center of the site where we would have a small parking lot in front of the flats building in the center of the site. We'd have a drive-under covered porte cochere for arrival of guests to the clubhouse leasing area. And the site would then backdrop to a new pond to the east overlooking the golf course view. And behind the clubhouse, we would have our site amenities, which would be pool, bocce ball courts, outdoor grilling area, outdoor television viewing area, and Wi-Fi lounge space. And then as we head to the south and the east, again, the attached one-story cottages. Next slide, please. This is a view towards the clubhouse. And again, the idea is that the architecture reflects more of a golf style resort clubhouse. This is more of an English character of the building with a mix of stone, brick, and painted trim. All the units would have outdoor living spaces. Many will be screened-in porches. And a lot of the units will have bay windows in the living rooms that would allow you to not only view directly out of the unit, but up and down the streets that the units are on, so that they can be better connected to the site, which would have many nice views. And again, this is a view into the entrance court and the clubhouse entry with the covered porte cochere in front of the main entry. Next slide. This is a view from the north entrance of the existing clubhouse. The existing retention pond along Brook School Road is just to the right. We would also have a pickleball court available as an amenity that's just beyond the existing pond at the front of the site. And this is just giving you the idea of the building of the massing. So we're with the 1.5-story attached townhomes along Brook School, building to a mix of 2- and 3-story in the middle of the site. So the large flats community building in the center of the site steps down on all of its ends to a 2-story mass to, again, just step down to the character of the size of all the residential that exists around the property. Next slide. This is a view of the rear amenity space behind the main building and clubhouse. We have the outdoor fireplace and grilling area to the left with the covered tables and umbrellas, the bocce ball courts in the foreground, the pool and cabana space in the mid view, and then in the backdrop is the outdoor television trellis and viewing area. And all this overlooks the golf course directly to the right and east of this area of the site. Next slide. This is the south entrance to the development off of Brook School Road and aligned with the elementary school entrance just west of our site. This is the rear view of the attached townhomes. So each unit would have a private outdoor patio space. And this is our boulevard entry to the south. Next slide. This is just coming into that south entry drive a little bit further, and we're looking now at the front of the attached townhomes. Each unit would have a private 2-car garage and a driveway to allow 2 guests to park in front of each unit. So there are 4 parking spaces available for each unit, ideal almost as a single family character for entertaining for the 55 and older age group that we're targeting here. And you can also see in the background the 3-story clubhouse building and how it blends into the scale of these buildings at the edge of the site. Next slide, please. This is a view at the far south and east sides of the site of the attached ranch doubles. And again, they also have private 2-car garages and driveways that would allow 2 guests parking in front of each garage space. And each unit has a private covered front entry as a single family home. Next slide, please. And this is the rear view of these units. So again, it's the attached ranch style cottages. They have a private outdoor rear porch with downlighting to be respectful of the neighbors that would be to the south in the Greystone neighborhood and to the east across the golf course into Gray Eagle. And this view is at the southern edge of the property looking east. So we're looking at an actual photograph of the Gray Eagle golf course looking east in the background behind these units and how they build into the golf course and the adjacent residential structures. And I believe this is the last slide describing the architecture.
Thank you, Randy. Let's see what our next slide is. There we go. Now we'd like to just turn this over to Dave Brackenhoff and Ron Diamond, who have just a few remarks from the Gray Eagle Board's perspective, and then we can open it up to any questions that we might have. Dave and Ron?
Thank you, Steve. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. First of all, thank you very much for allowing us to speak today. Appreciative of all the efforts of the City Council as well as the presentations made by Gray Eagle residents. I was kind of smiling when I read the board action form that's posted on the website. Kind of mentioned since 2019. It actually has been over 4 years working toward a resolution, 2 years on this particular solution. And over the years, I've had the pleasure of meeting with many of the current and previous city council members, Tony Bagata, Mayor Fadness. Always appreciative of the support shown to the board, our community. Congratulations, Selena Stoller, for your presidency. I'm, as the HOA president for Gray Eagle, I am sure you know what you're volunteering for. The other thing, too, is in the summer of 2018, before even the August closure announcement, we actually held a brainstorming session on the decision roadmap that would list all the options that could fulfill those 4 goals that Steve had mentioned. And almost everyone pointed to utilizing the limited development of the driving range as a financial engine, if you will, toward any of those solutions. This solution itself is a resident-initiated solution from Gray Eagle residents. You are aware of the Gray Eagle Town Hall last week. I'm sure we sent the PowerPoint presentations through the mayor's office to you. I want you to know that I've received several emails that I know you received because I was CC'd on many of them that kind of filled up my inbox over the weekend. I'd like to share one comment from one resident after our town hall meeting last week. This is better than I thought it would ever be. Thank you to everybody. So thank you to the mayor, the city council, and especially Brad DeReamer, Tony Bagata, J.C. Hart, and the Gray Eagle Golf Course owners. Over the last couple of years, we've been able to work together collaboratively versus just finger pointing and fussing at each other. So thank you all. Hopefully we get a positive consideration for moving this project of many years forward. Thank you.
And my name is Ron Diamond. I'm also a resident of Gray Eagle. I live on my wife and I live on the 5th tee box. And originally purchased the home back in 2001. We moved in the week of 9/11. We're actually one of the original owners here at Gray Eagle. In 2018, I joined the HOA board after hearing the initial announcement that the golf course would be closing after the end of the 2019 season. And I am probably in large part on the board because of the work of people like Dave Brackenhoff and our HOA president before him, Krista Monklin, and other members like Chuck Knox, who have been working, as Dave said, for 4 years to find a solution here. One thing that strikes me as we talk about this project tonight and the possibilities that we're looking at is that across the nation, there are many hundreds, if not thousands, of golf courses that are closing down and leaving their homeowners in the lurch. We have a fairly rare set of circumstances here. And what strikes me is that everybody involved has been working to find a path to make it work. And I think we're here tonight because we've done that. As Todd May mentioned, we've got a win-win-win-win. We've got something that the Gray Eagle homeowners can support. We've got the city's involvement, And as Dave had mentioned, this is a resident-driven solution. People listen to us, Brad DeReamer, Mayor Fadness, other council members. We appreciate everybody's involvement and engagement. A lot of folks could have said, nope, we're not going to do that. You can't put anything out there. We're going to fight you on everything that you try and do. I think this board has taken a different approach, and that is, let's see if we can find a way to make this work for everybody. And at tonight's meeting, I think we're seeing the culmination, or at least the beginning of the culmination of the hard work that's gone into that. So let me also say thanks to the council members, thanks to the mayor, Brad DeReamer, J.C. Hart Company, and the Golf Course Ownership Group. We have a unique set of circumstances here that allows us to move forward. We're doing that, and I think the feedback that I've been getting from other homeowners is this is a great opportunity. Let's keep going forward. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dave and Ron. And just as we wrap up, there's been numerous meetings over the last 2 to 4 years, and I know that Mayor Fadness never seeks or wants accolades or affirmations for doing his job. But this is one where most people would not have taken nearly the effort and interest to try to figure out a way to balance all of the various competing interests that exist in trying to put this solution together. So just as a personal note, I affirm the mayor for his dedication, desire to try to work with everybody to bring this together, and specifically also Councilman DeReamer, whose guidance throughout on numerous aspects of this deal has been invaluable. So we appreciate that from everybody. Thank you, Dave and Ron, for your words and your guidance through this process. And we would open it up to any comments or questions anybody has as we move forward through the process. Thank you very much.
Does any council member have comments regarding this item?
So, Steve, I just want to make sure that we're on the record. You guys are going to install the sidewalk or an 8-foot path on the east side of Brook School Road from 126 down to connect to the existing sidewalk?
Todd, that's correct, isn't it? Do you have the ability to connect it? I know you run it all the way from 126. Do you have the ability to connect to where it ends right now?
Oh, I think it does exist right there south of our south entrance. So yes, we would put in the path from 126 down to our entrance. I do believe that connects it. There's still some gaps there, but that's a significant portion to have the trail there.
Yeah, it ends on the north side of Gray Stone. Those may be 2 meets and bounds houses, but so that'll hook it up. Then we'll have a sidewalk all the way. Thank you.
Thanks for checking, Brad. I know that's something that's been important to me because I've had a lot of residents wanting connectivity. I think it's Duval Street going north to 126, alongside Brook School across the elementary. So that would be great if we could, have that sidewalk there. I just want to say, this is an amazing project. I'm supportive. I really think that this is an example of a wonderful collaboration. And I want to recognize, Brad DeReamer for all his work, the mayor, and obviously the HOA, amazing. And I think this is going to be a great kickstart to this golf course. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you.
This is Jocelyn. I just wanted to thank the HOA leadership, Dave, Ron, Chuck, all your neighbors. This is an amazing story of tenacity and creative problem solving and partnership. And I especially want to recognize Councilor DeReamer. Thank you for your years of work on this. What an amazing outcome. So thank you all very much for your hard work.
I'm going to let Brad make the...
I will make the motion to send it on to the plan commission.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah. Good job, Brad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Selena, if I may make a suggestion on items 11 through 20,
you
there are
jumped.
5, sorry, Pete, you can make the motion, but I'm just going to make a suggestion. There are 5, because each one comes in a double, but there's 5 voluntary annexations that have been through public hearing, they've been through all of those, so I know that staff has a full report, that'll go on the record with a vote, but if we could go ahead and just go right to the votes?
I would,
everyone's okay?
looking at, and I was gonna make the same thing, so we have to vote on them individually, Chris, I know is gonna make us do that, but my thought is, we don't need a staff report individually, if there happens to be question on any individual one, that can come out during the individual calling of that, and for expediency of the meeting, I would like to do that as well.
I agree, except Selena, when you want to check, is there anybody online that would have a question that has the agenda in front of them that would have a question? Please do whatever you do when you're online. I'm sorry, I don't know what you do.
Raise your hand.
Raise your
hand.
Put the little hand up.
Yeah, put your hand, okay, that's the only thing, to be fair to the public that may be online.
Okay, so we'll start racing down through these, so to speak. So R011921D, request to approve a resolution adopting the physical plan for Hoosier Estates annexation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye. Any opposed?
Any opposed? Motion passes. 11212
0D.
0D.
Motion to
Pete, I need
approve.
your glasses. Request to approve voluntary annexation of 2 lots known as Hoosier Estates.
I'll second it.
I made the motion, right?
Yeah, I second.
Motion by Pete, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? R011921E, request to approve a resolution adopting the physical plan for McNeely annexation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 121,
Nope. 122,
1221.
120.
is there E?
It's E.
Request to approve a voluntary annexation of 2 lots known as McNeely Properties.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? R011921F.
Yes.
Request to approve a resolution for fiscal plan
Fiscal
for the Clark annexation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 1222120F. Yes, I did it. A request to approve a voluntary annexation of 1 lot known as Clark property.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? R011921G, request to approve resolution adopting the fiscal plan for the Watson-Robinson annexation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 1222120C, a request to approve voluntary annexation of 2 lots known as Watson-Robinson properties.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? R011921H.
H?
Yes.
A request to approve resolution adopting the fiscal plan for the Grantham PUD.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 1222120A, a request to approve voluntary annexation of 3 parcels known as Grantham PUD.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Good job.
Okay, I think we're
Yep, now back to the normal.
We're back to normal.
Right.
Rather than going through those. So 011921A, a request to approve a voluntary annexation for 4 lots known as U.S. Foods Expansion Property. This is first, second reading and public hearing. So we have Megan Schaefer to introduce this.
Good evening, Council. Again, Megan Schaefer with the Planning and Zoning Department. Don't want to take up too much of your time, but this is for a voluntary annexation of about 20 acres for the U.S. Foods expansion that we talked about earlier in the meeting. And this is for a public hearing tonight, and we'll be back before you next month for final approval.
Okay, I'm going to open for public hearing. Any member wishing to speak may come forward. You will be given 3 minutes. Please state your name and address. Given there is none, we'll close the public hearing. It's open for discussion. Do any council members have any comments regarding this item?
Is there anybody online?
Yeah, anybody online, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know if Tracy can tell us, if anybody
Tracy
raised their
can-
hand. Yeah,
Okay.
if not, I'll give it a first reading.
Who's second?
First reading. Moving on, 011921B, a consideration of a text amendment to the Parkside PUD to amend the parking and landscaping requirements as part of a proposed senior apartment project. Property is 10 acres and will consist of 162 units. Subject site is located at the east side of Parkside Drive. Turning it over to Jesse to introduce this ordinance.
For the record, Jesse Boschel, Planning and Zoning. The item before you is an amendment to the Parkside PUD. As many of you know, in 2017, a proper project called Story Point was adopted for this site for a senior housing development. That has not come to fruition, but the same property owner has an interested client and has come before you for a text amendment to the Parkside PUD to clean up some of the language as well as address some issues with the landscaping conservation easement that was established in the initial PUD. Just to give you an idea of the parking, there was contradictions between the ordinance that was adopted in 2011 and 2017 and how it was written in the 2017 ordinance stating 1.33 parking spaces when it was 175 spaces total, which would be 1.08. So they have added that language to make that per unit would be 1.08 parking spaces. So they just did that to clean up. The biggest item that they are addressing in this is the landscaping easement. As part of the PUD, there was a 30-foot tree conservation easement on the east side of the property that would be adjacent to the residential to the east with a 10-foot buffer or a 10-foot landscaping strip. However, with talks with Vectren, all those trees and everything would have to be ripped out to allow for the gas to go through, and they have been working with the city on this project, and we've come to an agreement on a 40-foot green space with a 10-foot landscaped strip, and they are seeking approval of this amendment so that that is in writing so that they can move forward with this project. I'm not sure if one of their representatives is on the line, but I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Open for discussion. Does any council member have any comments regarding this item?
Is the petitioner online? Ask that a question.
No. Is the petitioner online?
Tim Stevens, are you on the line? It doesn't look like they are.
Okay. So
I
this
just
is,
add just one question. The reading that you gave us on the attachment, it says private driveways, and I thought we agreed last year, no more private drives in the city of Fishers. So
We'll take care of that.
we'll
We'll address that before Plan Commission.
Yeah, we need that taken out. No more private drives. At least that's what we agreed to last year.
Yes, sir.
Got
We'll
it.
have that fixed before Plan Commission.
Thank you.
Selena, just one quick question. I know, this is David. Jesse, I know in 2017, Story Point came in, and actually before that, there was another, I thought it was like a nursing home facility, and I thought Story Point was that type of facility. So I've been around long enough that we've had two of those votes. Is this use approved already, and it's simply the landscaping, or is it the use as well?
Yes, sir. The use is already approved. It's just the landscaping, trying to clean up the language, just so that they work within the confines, so that they're meeting the PUD standards.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, and David, I can clarify. Yeah, it was approved as assisted living, so the intended user is also going to be assisted living. They were just cleaning up the language around the parking and then this tree preservation ordinance. I also point out, when I talked to Veteran and Properties, we are looking at putting a fence on that east property line so that those neighbors that are losing the trees still have some privacy. In my conversation with the Veteran, they were gonna, if the city was even not willing to approve this, they're gonna use eminent domain or condemnation to get that easement, even if Man Properties didn't want to sell it, because it's a major line that's gonna actually run the entire length of the property line, even beyond this development within the PUD. So the tree line that runs 30 feet is going to continue north through the rest of the development as well.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
I'll give it a first reading.
Okay, moving on, we are at 011921C, consideration of a text amendment to the Saxony PUD to expand area C1 of Saxony PUD for an expansion to
And
the
Jennifer,
play
it was Pete
school.
who gave the first reading on item 22, just FYI.
For the play school at Saxony. I will turn this over to Megan Schaefer to introduce the ordinance.
It'll actually be me, Jesse. For the record, Jesse Boschel. First reading of PUD text amendment to the Saxony PUD for the play school at Saxony, located at the corner of 131st and Pennington Road. The play school at Saxony is looking to expand their site to allow for a gymnasium and additional parking. The area to the east that is highlighted would become the parking, and they will be taking over 0.75 acres. Tony, next slide. Just to give you an idea here, this is the PUD matrix showing each district in the Saxony PUD. As you can see, this additional land would be added to the C1, which has multifamily residential as well as neighborhood commercial involved. So they would be adding this into the PUD to reflect that and adding it to the development standards matrix. Just to give you an up-close view here, showing you the District C1, the play school at Saxony edition. The 0.75 acres is currently a part of a unincorporated area, and it would be annexed as well as soon as they can do that. Staff recommends that council hold first reading.
Open for discussion. Do any council members have any comments?
Just a comment, the mayor maybe. We've got some considerations out there, and before we approve anything else, I would appreciate if those considerations were taken care of before we do anything else out there. Thank you.
Do I have a motion for first reading?
First reading.
First reading. All right. Moving along, ordinance 011921D, a request to approve voluntary annexation of 18 lots known as Maple Dell subdivision. We'll have Tony
Yes, good
Fotto
evening.
to introduce the ordinance.
Yeah, good evening. This is annexation, so first and second reading and a public hearing for the redevelopment area known as Maple Dell. The city's been working with the owners on redeveloping this site. An economic development agreement was already approved. They have filed all their applications for their primary plat, the secondary plat, as well as their ILP for the site plan development and nickel plate review committee. So as part of the development, being that this is an unincorporated area, they're going to be annexing. So this is the first part of that process.
Okay, we'll open up the public hearing. Any member wishing to speak may come forward. You will be given 3 minutes. Please state your name and address.
Ask online.
Do we have any listeners online that would like to speak on this? Given that there is none, we will close the public hearing. It's open for discussion for the council. Do any council members have any comments regarding this item?
Jesse, put the plot plan back up if you would. Okay, the one on the south side of 116th, that is not part of the annexation, just the light green.
This property here?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, correct. That's not being developed at this time.
But is there any way we could get him or her to annex into the city and then sell or develop whatever later to square that up? Does anybody?
I can reach out to Tom Dickey and see if they can have that conversation. If it's not voluntary, it'd be very difficult, but we can look into it.
Yeah, I understand the voluntary part, but it'd be nice. It's all we're doing is create more islands in this city, and there's
They
no
should at
need
least
to
be
do it.
asked, right, Brad? I mean,
Pardon?
they should at least be asked if they want to come in.
Yeah, at least and then put a little pressure, I'm sorry, on the developer and say, pay for their tap-on fees or something to give them an incentive to annex into the city so we can square this up.
And those developers have a relationship with them and know them, so that's
Okay.
a conversation they could easily have.
Yeah,
So
I would
I'm glad you
appreciate
brought that
squaring
forward.
it up.
Yep.
Thank you.
No other comments, I'll give it first reading.
And Tony, this is David. Is Todd May still on? He was on for the previous one.
I don't see him in the screen.
Okay, I'll just follow up with him, because I know I'm getting still questions from Charleston Crossing and the townhomes at Fisher's Point, just to make sure that that site plan is presented to them, because sometimes these go a little bit fast once you have all the various initial approvals. And he told me he was going to reach out to them and meet with them early February, so I'll reach out to him and make sure that that happens.
Okay, and I know that we were going to also, Tom was going to let them know when it goes to tax, so it's supposed to be on next week, and we can make sure that that's followed through as well.
Okay, thanks.
I gave
Okay.
it first reading.
Okay, Pete gave it first reading. Under unfinished business, excuse me, we'll come back to R011921B, a request to approve 2021 council appointments to city boards and commissions.
I'm
Do
going
I
to make
have
a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve by Pete. Do I have a second?
Madam
Second by
President,
John.
ma'am,
Wait just
go
a second. Open for discussion. Do any council members have any comments regarding this item?
yes, may I?
Yeah.
Thank you. This is Jocelyn. I do have concerns about this year's council appointments to boards and commissions, and I would like to voice these concerns and make an alternate motion for immediate action steps to address them. My remarks will be brief but complete. According to the City of Fishers website, quote, Fishers boards and commissions are a great way for citizens to get involved in their local community. These groups provide input and direction for the City Council on decisions that can impact Fishers for years to come. This participation from our residents is essential to maintaining our status as one of the country's best places to live, unquote. In practice, however, an extremely unrepresentative group of people have had the opportunity to participate on boards and commissions, while unfortunately other groups within the community are routinely excluded. The 95 available seats on boards and commissions include very few people of color, women, members of the LGBTQ community, and persons with disabilities. With recent information available from the city, I've determined that overall 80% of the current board and commission appointees are white men. Less than 20% of appointees are women. There's a total of 3 people of color on all 24 boards and commissions, and 0 appointees were confirmed as members of the LGBTQ community or a person with a disability. 8 people sit on more than 1 board or commission, which takes up more than 20% of the total seats. One appointee who serves on both the Police Merit Commission and the Fire Merit Commission as a legally required Democratic representative for political balance, does not actually qualify as a Democrat. Furthermore, this current City Council's majority's practice for making boards and commission appointments is not transparent. Currently, no clear process for fairly scrutinizing council appointments is followed, and this has enabled a lack of diversity and resulted in boards and commissions that are grossly underrepresentative of our community. Currently, as a practice, incumbent appointees keep their seats for as long as they want to hold them, despite officially serving set terms. This is a problem because it maintains exclusivity and prevents more diverse voices from participating in city government. Citizens can indeed apply to serve, and the online application is always accessible online and open to the public. But my question is, did the City Council majority review any of these applications prior to finalizing these 2021 appointments? I've requested these applications. I just received them today for the first time. There were 47 of them. I have not received an acknowledgement that they've been reviewed by the council majority. And if appointments are made without reviewing and receiving and reviewing these citizen applications, I think that's a fairness and transparency issue. The city does not publicly recruit residents to apply for boards and commissions when there are vacancies, but public calls for applications are vital. Diversity and inclusion does not seem to be considered, and conflicts of interest do not seem to be considered. Lastly, minority members of the council have been prohibited from participating in the selection process. It is certainly the prerogative of the majority to slate appointments, but it's inappropriate for the minority members of the council to receive access to the slate less than 24 hours before the vote. Therefore, I strongly suggest 5 practical recommendations to implement a thoughtful and transparent process. 1, a formal, complete audit of all the board and commission appointments to identify overall composition and representation. This includes reviewing gender, identity, race, religious beliefs, political party requirement, adherence, number of terms that have been served, number of boards currently serving on, and conflict of interest declarations. This data must be compiled for the council's future reference. 2, have city social media channels immediately deploy a call out to Fishers residents, inviting interested citizens to apply to serve on city boards and commissions using the existing online form. This call out should also explicitly welcome people of color, people with disabilities, women, and members of the LGBTQ community to apply. 3rd, perform a complete pull of all the applications that have been received in the past 2 years, and current appointees whose terms are up must reapply and be reviewed against all applicants if they wish to serve additional terms. 4, form a nominating committee to review applications and determine a slate of appointees for council consideration and vote at the February meeting. The majority caucus will select 2 members, and the minorities caucus will select 1 member to serve on this nominating committee. And finally, 5th, prepare an agenda item for the February meeting that codifies these policies so they are followed in coming years. So now, Madam President, I'd like to make the following motion. I know there's already a motion on the table. The motion is this: immediately form a nominated committee of 3 council members to solicit and review applications for the 2021 open board and commission seats. The majority caucus will select 2 members, and the minority caucus will select 1 member to serve on this nominating committee. And this committee will determine a slate of appointees for council consideration at the February City Council meeting. Thank you.
So are you making that an amendment to the current motion?
It's a separate motion.
We have a motion on the table.
I have a motion on the floor.
Yes.
I can take an amendment. I can't take another motion.
I believe that.
Yeah, so I would consider this, Council President Stoller, as an amendment to the motion that's on the table. So Councilmember Veers raised an amendment to that motion. It needs to receive a second discussion and be voted on, and then it can be germane to the original motion that was on the table. So We'll
Okay.
take what Councilmember Ver just said as an amendment to that motion.
Okay.
You can go ahead and ask for a second right now.
Okay, do we have a second to Counselor Vare's amendment? Okay, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Do we need to do a roll call vote on that for the clerk?
For the clerk, she's not.
For the, for,
Well,
Sure.
yeah,
it was 7-2, the way I counted, is that correct?
yeah, 7-2.
That's correct. Now, you have an original motion on the table that was seconded. Brad's
Okay.
called for the question.
So we're back to the original motion at this point, so we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Again, it's a vote of 7-2. Did the clerk get those votes?
Can you please tell me, the nay votes? I only heard Jocelyn.
Okay, Sam was a nay vote. Counselor DeLong was a nay vote as well.
Okay. And then on the, on Jocelyn's motion, was Sam also the second
Yes.
nay vote?
Correct.
She
Okay,
was
thank you.
affirmative. She was affirmative on Jocelyn's amendment, and she was a second on the motion to the amendment.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Pete.
Yep.
Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, moving on, we have public comments. You will be, please state your name and your address, and you'll be given 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. L. Alwart, AHLWARDT. Thank you. AHLWARDT, Residence 9876, Covington Boulevard in Fishers. Madam President, thank you for the opportunity to address the council. As I was wrapping up my 21-year career in the Navy, my wife, our kids, and I became residents of Fishers 28 years ago in 1992. This evening, I'm pleased to address you as a member of the volunteer committee working to bring the City of Fishers Gold Star Family Memorial to life. You have a flyer featuring the memorial in front of you presented by Councilmember Brad DeReamer. If completed this spring, this memorial will be the second such memorial in the state of Indiana. Ladies and gentlemen, this Gold Star Families Memorial recognizes, honors, and thanks those in our midst, as well as those whom we don't know personally, who have suffered an inordinate and disproportionate level of personal and family sacrifice, the death of a family member while serving in America's armed services. This memorial will honor and ensure their sacrifice is never forgotten. Further, its location in front of City Hall on the Central Green will likely inspire passersby and increase civic consideration of and appreciation for the men and women who serve in America's armed services and their families who serve with them. I am here tonight to ask for your support in making this memorial a reality. I'm aware of Councilmember Brad DeReamer's recent unique reach out to homeowner associations within his Northeast District to provide an opportunity for citizens to provide funding support to the City of Fishers designated for the Gold Star Family Memorial. Councilmember DeReamer is a fellow veteran and co-chair of the Gold Star Family Memorial Committee, so there's no way to misunderstand his civic and personal interest in this project being funded and completed. Mr. George Stavropoulos is the other co-chair of the committee. George is here tonight behind me. George, would you please wave your hand? Thank you.
Thank you for your service, both of you.
Thank you. George is another well-known patriot, another Navy veteran, a resident of the City of Fishers, and the honored guest speaker at the city's March 29, 2019 observance as National Vietnam War Veterans Day held in this facility. I ask with great respect that all City Council members join with Councilmember DeReamer, Mr. Stavropoulos, myself, and other committee members and provide some measure, however small, of personal funding support to this patriotic initiative. Why? I ask each council member to provide that flyer or its information through late May to all of your district's population via any means of communication available to you, such as periodic newsletters or invitations you offer to your respective districts. If you personally respond to this call for funding assistance, I therefore encourage each of you through your personal positions of leadership and relationships to your districts to then say with humility and respect, please join me and support this unique patriotic initiative as citizens of the City of Fishers. Additionally, I ask that each council member in the City of Fishers do all that can be done, and with utmost respect for their privacy, to listen carefully in conversations and help determine who are Gold Star family members living in Fishers. To that end, I would be happy to share my personal research efforts with each of you and any designated representative of the city. Finally, I ask all council members to mark their calendars and plan now to attend the city's 2021 observance of Memorial Day, which will be held on Liberty Plaza on Monday, May 31st at 10 a.m. The city's Gold Star Family Memorial, which will be located in front of City Hall at the north end of the central green that stretches south to Liberty Plaza, will be dedicated during that ceremony, if in fact it is funded. It is my hope that this entire ceremony and monument dedication will be well attended, documented, and provided to all available social media. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your consideration of my request for personal engagement with funding this memorial, for purposefully sharing memorial information with citizens in your respective districts, and for your attendance and that of your guests at the city's May 31st Memorial Day ceremony. Thank you as well for your service to our city, its citizens, our visitors, and guests. Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your service to our country. As a mother of a son who's in the Navy, I am greatly appreciative.
Yeah. Raising a patriot.
Welcome. Do you have any?
And just real quick, I'll do everything I can. I know, Brad, you and I have talked about this, and I think you and I have talked about it in the past. Typically, I'm not here on Memorial Day itself, because for 17 years, I'm a part of an Indiana crew. I usually say kids, but we're not kids anymore. But we go out to Nantucket Island, and we train some wounded veterans, male and female. Usually about 4 or 5 in the group, and then we compete with them side by side in a race. Also, there is typically a Gold Star family that goes with us. Obviously, when you're on a trip for about 4 or 5 hours on a sailboat, you hear a lot of stories, and there's a lot of respect that we gain from that. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that in Fishers, and I'll do everything I can to help. And if it weren't for COVID, I'll probably be here, because I'm probably going to cancel the race again for the second year. But if it is canceled, I'll be here. If not, I'll be in a good place for the same reason. Thanks.
And just a quick comment from me. First of all, thank you for everything, service and all, and dedication to this particular project. I'm going to go ahead and personally give you $500 towards this project. I do know that at least last year's budget, Scott, we had $50,000 in council discretion money. I don't know if that carried over to this year or not.
I think, and Councilmember Dreamer can chime in here, look, one way or another, we're gonna get this project done,
Okay.
and we're gonna deliver it on time.
Well, I think,
For
you know,
me,
from the,
but I think, to the point is, trying to get as many community members to support and embrace this as we can is the goal. So, you know, we're gonna try to push this out from a media perspective and a communication standpoint. We've had success in the past when we've tried to raise money, and I think we can do that again here. But I think we wanted to start first talking to council members, and then really get out into our community and have that conversation. But one way or another, this thing's getting built.
and I appreciate that, Scott. I think it just makes a really good statement from the council if they agree, okay, in majority, that, you know, the money comes directly from that discretionary fund from council. I mean, that makes a pretty good statement, and I'll leave the dollar amount up. I was thinking about $5,000, but, you know, that's just me. I'll leave that to the rest of council. I don't really have any quarrels that this thing will get funded pretty quickly due to the nature of the monument and what's behind it, but I do want to make that statement, at least on my behalf.
I think
Well,
30 days and maybe return back after we get out to the community and see where we're at with.
Mayor, would there be a way for the community to participate except not sending in checks? I mean, I think electronically, we might be able to get people.
Working with this organization, there is a website to donate, but there's only 2 full-time employees.
Yeah.
They have 76 of these in the United States now. 73 more are in the process, with 2 full-time employees, and the rest are part-time. And it is very difficult with a type A to get information back as quick as I want. So we didn't shut down the website, but Carrie, Lisa, and I decided to bring it in-house with a check. I don't know if Lisa has the ability to take a credit
I
card.
believe we do. I think,
She's
we're,
not-
we're running through the Parks Foundation, which does have the ability to take money
Okay.
through online.
I just thought it'd be easier to collect that way.
Yeah, we'll push all that out.
And that's a good point, Todd. I just didn't, I wanted to make it easy for Carrie and Lisa. if
Yeah,
we could,
absolutely.
To mail in your check, and then I send the thank you letters out. I pushed this just to my subdivision and discovered 2 Gold Star wives just last week. So we do have Gold Star families in the city of Fisher. So this is a personal thing that Brad started with George, and I thank you very much for your support.
Liberty Plaza, what did we ended up doing something as a city for that to finish that off.
Yes,
And
I think, well, David was around, but early on in those days, they started off trying to raise the money, and they raised about 50%, and then kind of ran out of gas, so to speak. It was the '08 financial meltdown, so there wasn't a lot available, and so the city stepped up and paid the other 50% to build the.
Yeah, and I'm not here to make a motion to do that, but I think what we did for Liberty Plaza, we ought to do for this as well. And if we're gonna, let's get our citizens to contribute their dollars, but I think if we want to get this done, it's probably we're gonna have to roll up our sleeves and quite honestly, just spend some money and get it done.
Well, and I think that's to my point about one way or another, this thing's getting built in May.
The mayor's committed.
Yeah, I'm committed to finding it in my budget.
It'll get done.
Yeah.
Just one other point. I built a memorial park in Greenfield when I was a mayor 12 years ago, and I sold 14 benches for $5,000 each. This project, because of its size in the area, we can only get 2 benches in there. So those 2 benches are for sale for $5,000 each if you want to sell them to companies. And they get the right to put their logo or anything they want on the top and the 2 sides. Anything they want for that $5,000, they get to put on there. So those 2 are still available as we're speaking tonight.
Okay.
What's the deadline for the funding, to get the funding?
We'll take funding for the next 5 years. It keeps coming in.
Yeah, I mean, the scenario here would be if we were short and we needed to hit the May deadline, the city could pay for it, and then people could continue to donate, and we would just reimburse the city for that going forward. I mean, the total cost of this is $60,000. I don't want to minimize that. That's still a good chunk of money, but in reality, for a community our size and our caliber, $60,000, we should, between the private and public sector and in-kind donations, we should be able to get to that fairly quickly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure our neighbor to the west has paid $80,000 per statue, didn't they?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah. So there's real opportunity, I think, going forward. So we'll have an update for you guys next meeting.
Follow up with the sailing club. They have two Gold Star families being recognized there at the sailing club, and I'll email you a couple other people I think you need to connect with, George.
Yeah,
L,
any
and-
Gold Stars
and
that you
Brad.
know, please let us know, because Elle wants to make a special presentation in May to them. So please, please, please let us know.
It'd be a great Memorial Day opportunity for us, for sure.
Any other comments? Do we have any comments from online? Given that there is none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Pete. Do we have a second? Second by Todd. Meeting is adjourned.
Good job.
I just have to remember my glasses next time. I can't read that small black print. I'm like, oh my gosh.